Welcome to the Civic Hub. The Civic Hub is a shared community space for grassroots and small nonprofit organizations working to make lives better for everyone in Waterloo Region. Partner organizations come from a range of fields: environmental justice, democratic reform, arts and culture, anti-poverty, anti-racism, human rights, ethno-cultural and newcomer support, technology, peace and nonviolence, spirituality, and well-being. On the show, we welcome one of our partners to the Civic Hub. Today on Welcome to the Civic Hub, we have Wren. They are an organizer with Fight Back KW. Wren, welcome to the Civic Hub.
Hi, thank you. It's good to be here.
Tell me, Fight Back KW sounds extreme. What's it all about?
Well, basically, we formed around the tent city on the island in Willow River Park. And basically every year we have the same issues with homelessness. We have like rising numbers of people living on the street. We have people experiencing tent fires, folks like experiencing all kinds of health and wellness issues, all kinds of safety issues, and it's happening every year repetitively. Enough is enough, and I think that's really where Fight Back came from. Like, we can't accept this. It's not acceptable. And we need to respond as a community.
Right. So the fight is against the powers that cause homelessness, that cause poverty, that cause lack of support for the people that you're supporting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. While also, participating in mutual aid with a homeless community in downtown Kitchener. So we do a meal serving every Sunday. We are working on building the sandbag house at 100 Vic. We provide tents. When folks are in crisis, we get them new shoes, get a new dog harness, emergency stuff like that. So yeah.
Okay. You said that this started on Rose Island in Willow River Park, but that's all been shut down by the authorities. What's left to do now?
Well, the issue doesn't stop. So this chasing homeless folks out of encampment locations is a regular tactic that happens all over the region.
That still happens.
Yeah, so it's just, the issue is we just usually can't see it. Yeah, some folks will be moved every 24 hours. They'll be pushed out of the space, and that's they lose their belongings. It's really discombobulating for them. It's anxiety inducing. It's intense. Cops are involved. It's a big deal. And everybody who's housed just has no idea about it at all because we don't see it. And that was really one of the main reasons why we chose the island in the park to begin with, because we as a community need to see it. We need to stop looking away because it's a huge problem. We have over 1,700 people in our region currently unhoused. More than 500 of those people chronically unhoused, which means they've been homeless for more than a year. So, or up to a year, I believe. So this is a major issue, and those are just the stats, right? We know from working with the homeless community, there are folks who have been unhoused for 10 years. We know that wait lists for housing are 8 to 10 years long. So the issues are just mounting up.
Yeah. The tent city that was established on Rose Island, that was a deliberate choice to go there, wasn't it?
That was definitely so. Having a tent city on the island in the park has been a nearly annual thing for more than a decade. This one was one of the longest ones, the last one that ever happened, but it's a regular sort of action to try and demonstrate that. So folks who lived there had they knew that they would experience more police presence.
Yeah.
But that's not the case at 100 Vic, which is just a natural encampment where it's sprung up out of need. And they experience the same level of surveillance, the same level of community harassment
Yeah.
as the action space.
Right. There was that court case that concluded just over a year ago, I think, that said that police and municipalities and authorities don't have the right to move people about if there's no suitable alternative for housing available.
Mm-hmm.
And Waterloo Region has no suitable housing available at the moment, at least not sufficiently.
Mm-hmm.
So are the authorities breaking the law by routing people out from their encampments, from their homes?
I think it's I think it's tricky to say. Like, so far at 100 Vic specifically, cops haven't been involved in trying to remove people. But there are other ploys, such as what happened on the island in the park, where they put up fences and restrict people's access to go there. And that ruling only seems to apply to 100 Vic. Like in Cambridge, they're chasing everybody around all the time. And we were like, at one point, Fight Back was looking to do outreach at other encampments, and we would go to find them, and it would be like they just left. Like, you could tell that they just got kicked out, and that happened so many times, it just wasn't like feasible. So
Yeah. So there's many hidden encampments about. 100 Vic is pretty visible at the corner of Victoria and Weber Street. That's been around for a couple of years now and got all the attention during the court case.
yeah. So they don't, like, not only do we not have enough housing, we don't have enough emergency support beds. So we don't even have 600 shelter beds in the region. So the fact that folks are getting chased around, it is definitely breaks the Supreme or the Superior Court ruling. But at 100 Vic, that's like the only place where people aren't hassled by police to leave because of that ruling.
And is that because of the visibility of that corner?
I think so, and because I think I think they don't want to go against the injunction.
Right.
But there are other ploys that are being used instead to try and get people out. We were talking with the region about how there are a number of unhoused women, specifically like young women, who are living at the encampment, and they don't have any light at night because the region shut off the street lights. So there's no light coming down. And initially the region staff I was talking to said that they were going to give us $1,000 to get like solar powered lights, and they just like stopped responding about it. Like they recently did a cleaning sweep, but they just threw out a lot of people's belongings, including one man who was a veteran, and all of his belongings are gone, including the ashes of his like dead father and daughter. So like really serious stuff. So they're just making it just really uncomfortable to be there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And so Fight Back KW is set up to provide meals?
Yes, on the weekends when there aren't any like public meal servings, we do a meal serving on Sundays.
Okay.
And then, we also are down there on Saturdays and sometimes Fridays working on the sandbag house.
Okay. And do you deliver the meals to 100 Vic and other places?
We just focus on 100 Vic. There's actually like a whole network of people doing like food at encampments and for precariously housed people. So our main focus is 100 Vic.
Right. Where do you get the food?
It is quite a whole ordeal, but there's, I believe some of it is food bank. A lot of it is mostly like market leftovers, like just a lot of random places.
And the food preparation takes place in one of the public kitchens?
Usually it takes place just in somebody's like private home.
Oh.
That's generally it.
And I guess you're open to donations. There's always the need for more food, better food, different food.
And definitely also things like tents and sleeping bags. We always need more of those.
Okay. Do you have a list of the resources that you need so that people can go there and have a look? And
We generally post that kind of stuff on Instagram. Right now,
Okay.
we have a post up about, tents, tarps, and sleeping bags.
Right, and your Instagram account is
Fight back.
Fightback KW on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I see that there's some pictures there of the sandbag houses, a community potluck coming up. So you can tell me a little bit more about that in a bit. And there it is. Tents needed. Whether it's changing, need for emergency survival equipment is increasing rapidly. Please donate to support our unhoused neighbors. They need tents, tarps, sleeping bags, and money to purchase these items. To coordinate donations, send e-transfers or email fightback.kw@gmail.com. That's a good place for people to get involved if they want to get involved. But you're involved in the Civic Hub. That's why you're here, after all. How'd you get involved with the Civic Hub?
We had comrades. Comrades are involved in the lived experience working group, and then when stuff started happening with SDC's prototyping initiative, we really came on board there, and also, just in general with the plan to end chronic homelessness.
Right, so using the services that already existed at the Social Development Center and the Civic Hub to help promote your own efforts towards relieving the issues of unhoused people, of precarious housed people.
Yeah, and I think, really we are just a random group of organizers. We don't have funding or resources. So the SDC's really been fun. We literally met outside in the winter. We didn't have a meeting space. So we really needed those types of physical resources. I just sent Ritika today a crazy list of things I needed printed. Because it's just the cheapest option, and if we don't have any donations, then it's my rent money, right? So I need the cheapest option. So the SDC has been super useful for that, and also really open arms giving about it. So it's been
You get to make use of the printing. You get to have the space for meetings.
And events and stuff.
And then posters and things like that for things like that potluck. So tell me about that. What's that all about?
So basically, the United Front Against Homelessness, or to end homelessness, is a new initiative, coming together and creating an actual network of folks and organizations is a new initiative. It seems right now in the community there's a lot of organizing happening. There's a lot of different people doing a lot of different things. But this thing that really seems to be missing, or that keeps coming up in meetings, is we don't spend time, we don't community build, we don't build relationships. So we're trying to get people with common interests together and see, what we can actually do when we're together.
It's got to be difficult. People who are in the situation of being unhoused have very little spare time to do the organizing and providing the support. And so I can see the difficulty in providing the support to people. They say nothing about us without us. But if you're already struggling 24 hours a day just surviving, doing organized activities has to be difficult.
I think this is what we really found, especially on the island, where I think homelessness really politicizes people, but the reality is, homelessness is a whole other world. It is not being housed at all. It is you care about feeding yourself because you're starving. You care about finding a safe place to sleep because people will rob you. You care about finding drugs because your life sucks. So what we've found, because we really do a lot of trial and error, is like when we're giving people tasks and they're homeless, then they're coming back and being like, I'm so sorry I didn't get this done, which feels like shitty. I don't want to do that. I don't want homeless people crying because they didn't like do enough flyering. That's so dumb. So really, I think that's where the relationship building comes in. That's where the like getting to know people in the space that we're trying to advocate for, and like pushing their ideas.
Right.
Like when we have a meeting with the region, we'll go down to the encampment and be like, hey, we're having a meeting with the region. What, like, do you want said? Do you want to come? Like, what's up? And then we just get direction in a way that doesn't put pressure on people.
Right.
Yeah.
Get people involved in the capacity that they're able to.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
How far does Fight Back KW extend? I mean, KW is in the name, but you mentioned Cambridge is an area where assistance is needed.
Cambridge is like I say, we're all like just random community members. We have like, I think we have like 6 or 7 members, and 3 have like we are not hypermobile. So getting to Cambridge can be really difficult.
Yeah.
So like we do support when there's call outs for support, but in terms of like actually building a campaign, like the amount of time that we spend at 100 Vic, I live like 3 minutes away from 100 Vic. I can't be in Cambridge that much. So that makes it more difficult.
Right. And this new organization, this United Front to End Homelessness, that's to bring together people working in the different areas in Waterloo region.
Mm-hmm. To see where we can work together and complement each other.
Right.
Because we certainly don't all agree on everything, but we definitely all agree on some stuff. So, yeah, we need to find common ground, because the reality is, like I say, like it's getting worse every year. Like 1,700 is a really high level, and it's also a really fast jump.
It was, because there was a point in time count from about 2 years ago that I think pegged the number of unhoused people at about 1,000 or so.
It was 1,200, I believe. Yeah, but that's a crazy jump. Like,
Yeah.
that's really high. So something's going on. We know what's going on. The housing crisis is going on. We are like, all of the social services are like hemorrhaging funding. Like everybody's losing funding everywhere. Like all of these resource issues are starting to affect, honestly, richer people in our community who are buckling down and forcing the rest of us to just accept that these things are the way they are. So.
It's not necessarily the way things are. It's just the way things have been designed to be. Yeah. So if people who had the power, politicians largely, people with the funds to spare, were to decide that homelessness should end, it could probably end fairly quickly.
Yes, indeed. Many of the, if you go on the Sunshine List, many of the upper like admin could pay for like more than one person's housing for an entire year, like easily. So that's the reality, is that everybody is getting, cost of living wages. We're giving Waterloo Regional Police all these budget increases for nothing. We're just putting all the money into the pockets of our rich friends, to be honest, while we have like homelessness at extreme levels, youth homelessness at extreme levels, like just really bad stuff is going on right now. So.
Do you see a skew towards that there's more youth homelessness, or is it across the entire age population?
What I'm noticing a lot of is like, it's across the whole age population, but what I'm noticing is like a service desert for youth. When you can't find a service, it's usually a youth who can't find it. Like they don't get access to like the shelter system in the same way. They don't get access to anything in the same way. They're like hyper exposed to family and children's services and police, like, they just have a lot going on. And yeah, I don't remember it being this bad like 10 years ago. But yeah.
Is it just that the visibility is higher? That people have, through social media and webcams and whatnot, have made themselves more known to the rest of the community? Or is it actually getting worse in absolute numbers?
Well, I think in absolute numbers, yes, but I also think that like the trauma of the way that we live as a culture is getting worse. Like people's mental health is, I know mine is, but also what I'm seeing is like people's mental health is getting worse. More people are more mentally ill. More people are struggling more and more. Like, it just seems like the worse it gets. This is the first hit community, the one that shows it like the most extreme.
I guess the mental health isn't just all out psychotic episodes. It's a constant level of anxiety that just pervades everything that you do. There's not enough money, there's not enough housing, there's not enough heat, there's not enough warmth.
And a general societal, like, and it's my fault and I'm bad. Like, the number of people who, like, because when there's smoke, I'm the closest I respond. The number of people whose tents and everything they own burned down, and they're crying to me, and then at the end they're like, but I know it's not a big deal. And I'm just like, what do you mean it's not a big deal? Where would you get that idea? Like, if my house burned down, no one would ever say that's not a big deal, but because they're so, like, their things mean nothing, because their things get thrown out all the time. Like, they're, like, you know, the trauma that happens to them means nothing, because, of course, it's inherently traumatic. Like, So
the thing that would be an overwhelming level of stress to me is something that the precarious people out there are subjected to all the time.
just regularly, and like that would affect, it's like torture that would affect any person, like, and it affects every person. So it's a really bad scene. Like, if you're just, you know, poor and you're doing okay, and then your landlord, you know, evicts you, claiming he's going to live there and just not bothering to do that, like, then you're homeless. If you're fine, now it's trauma land. Like, now it's a bad scene because it's very scary, very violent, very intense, a lot of stuff going on.
How did you get involved in Fight Back?
I've worked on 10 cities, like, in the park in previous years.
Okay.
And it was sort of just brought to my attention, and already there was wacky stuff happening in the community, like, at that time. So it was like, I guess we have to do this. Like, the reality is, working on these projects is, like, not really fun. It's a lot of work. It costs a lot of money. It's really exhausting. There's a lot of, like, crazy issues, like when we had the person in the SDC. Like, there's just a lot of, like, wacky stuff going on that you have to, so yeah,
more stress.
It's very stressful.
Yeah.
But the reality of the situation is, like, this work needs to happen. Like, we as a community have a responsibility to say, like, this matters, because it's just a matter of time before it's our turn, whether we believe that or not. That's the reality. So
How many members are in Fight Back?
it really fluctuates, but I think, like, probably around, like, 7 or 8 at any given time.
Okay. I'll bet it's set up as more of an anarchist collective than a top-down hierarchical organization. There's no president, there's no...
Yeah. It's just sort of like people with ideas doing stuff.
And working together to make it happen.
Yeah.
Can you use more help?
Always we can use more help, for sure, yeah.
And what's the best way for people to get a hold of you if they want to offer their help?
Definitely email us at fightback.kw@gmail, or Instagram.
Instagram's a good way to get a hold of you. Yeah. And what sort of work can people expect to do if they come out to help?
It really depends, like, very much whatever you want. Like, if you are excited about the manual labor and you want to get ripped and fill sandbags and lift them up, you can do that. If you're like excited about like, yeah, whatever, you want to write press releases, you can do that. Basically, it's just whatever people want to do, and we just sort of go with it, whatever is needed, because the reality is like, who knows what's going to work, but we do know this isn't working. We do know this is very bad, so we'll try anything.
So there's probably a chance for people to help with meal preparation, meal delivery.
Definitely.
Going out, finding sources of food, going to the different grocery stores and getting the seconds.
Yeah.
Or even getting the firsts.
Yeah, I think any creative idea that people have that they think could help, I think that would be super great. Yeah.
Have you found other groups at the Civic Hub that can assist in this way?
We definitely share members with and work sometimes with the Lived Experience Working Group.
Yeah.
We've worked with the Unsheltered Campaign. I'm not sure if Ground Up is like actually an STC member, but we work with.
Yeah. So. See the same people in many of these organizations cropping up all the time. It's like there's a handful of people that do all the work.
Yeah, and it can get kind of, it's a lot. But I think also like what we try to encourage, what I hope to encourage is like, even if you can only do little things, that's okay. Like, even if you can just graphically design something sometimes, that's cool. Even if you just have $5, that's cool. Like, everything, just being around is important, and anything and everything helps.
Right. So to help out, go to Instagram to FightbackKW, or send an email to fightback.kw@gmail.com. And that'll get to Wren, who has come to join us here on Welcome to the Civic Hub today. Thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Welcome to the Civic Hub.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Welcome to the Civic Hub, where we welcome community members to the Civic Hub. The Civic Hub is online at civichubwr.org, and you can reach the Civic Hub by email at civichub@waterlooregion.org. Welcome to the Civic Hub is produced at the studio of CKMS-FM 102.7 Radio Waterloo. The show is sponsored by the Social Development Center of Waterloo Region. The executive producer is Alexander Petrovich. Ritika Sharmali is the producer and host, and I'm Bob Jonkman. Civic Hub is supported by the Region of Waterloo Upstream Fund, and the theme music is A Good Bass by Kumiko from the Free Music Archive, used under Creative Commons CC0 license.